Boom! Salutations. Time to knock out one of those fast blast videos that are strictly designed to have you do your own research and start checking some of this stuff out. And it's interesting because a lot of these paranormal things may not be the separate things we think they are, and they start kind of convoluting into each other and meshing together. It's kind of interesting, especially when we start dealing with issues of consciousness. But anyway, this is something that I kept coming across. You can find out a lot across many tales across the world, legends and encounters. And that is that these women that show up often, and a lot of times they're found with Sasquatch or seen with Sasquatch and Bigfoot. I start hearing that a lot. And it's these women often dressed in white or in rags and quote unquote witches unquote, but they're seen a lot. And if you start really looking across the world and start really researching this, you'll come across this a lot. It's interesting. You've got things like in Russia, I don't want to if I'm misspelling this, forgive me people, all right? It's the Perchata witch or the Christmas witch. There's the Krampus witch that may be one and the same, or they might just be connected. There's the Baba Yaga. I think that's in Russia also, maybe. There's also a pond witch that's talked about in America quite a bit. So there's several of these that keep coming up, and another one that those of you that are on Patreon have seen the video I did over that I won't release on YouTube, but over the spear finger witch, all right, and kind of how that has possible connections to several things, not just that, also Sasquatch connections as well. So there's a lot of these. A lot of times Sasquatch will show up, and just before this woman in white or in rags has been seen, before or after. A lot of times there's stories about them, like search this, like per se the Perchata witch, I think was described like the Spearfinger witch, to take the hearts of children and to steal children. It always comes down to that. So that's very interesting how that's always incorporated into this, and how this being is seen quite frequently in these encounters. And I think that probably needs to be something to look into a little bit more, and something I want to add on to that too. One of the things you hear a lot of experiencers of this saying is that this woman in white, had on these very odd shoes, these huge shoes, like these long clown, like these big clown shoes. I mean, you hear that several times about the odd shoes she had on, or that she had odd legs with these shoes, or something like that, implying that maybe it was, like more like possibly bird-like legs. And it's very fascinating to me, because if you look into one of the more obscure thing in the Sasquatch community, in the Sasquatch field, you start seeing a lot of these in this cryptid field altogether. You've seen a lot of these three-toed tracks. I'll put a few pictures up of that. They're like talked about a lot. Are they hoax or not? But three-toed prints. And very interesting, if you look at several types of birds and bird feet, minus the claw behind them, they would have three claws and leave a three-toed print. And is that why these clown shoes are being concealed? And that just sounds similar to something where I come from that's called the deer woman. And there are several tribes that have dance once a year, and I was told that at this, what do you call it, I don't want to siesta name on it, but it's a tribal dance. Sorry, that's eluding me right now. A ceremony, but when they have these powwow, thank you, powwow. When they have, thank you, Lord. When they have these powwows, several tribes, but that these deer women can't come and start dancing around around the fire and stuff, and they have a way of wrapping their hooves that you can't tell, and wearing these dresses. But they get to dancing, and sometimes they expose these hooves and they take off, jump away, and run away. So I just think that's fascinating. That's something I heard several times, especially growing up and in college. I heard it in multicultural studies. I heard that from several Native American people I dealt with where I live. So it is a fascinating legend to a degree. So is that something similar to this women in rags, women in white? What is that? The negativity that seems to come with it, and how it's connected with some other paranormal events, I think is very, very noteworthy. And does that have anything to do with these three printed bird print, these three printed foot tracks? Is there a connection there? You know, especially when you're seeing them with Sasquatch sometimes are reported together. What's the connection there? What is that? Things to just think about, right? So, a lot of this that got me to think about this was a video I just did. The one I did, I put it on YouTube. It was over Fred Beck and the Sasquatch being manifested beings. And that kind of takes us into this realm. But one of the things he had said is that prior to that encounter at 8 Canyon, they had encounters with this woman in white. And they saw her several times, and how she was a type of a guide, they thought, and things like that. So it's another time, another experience, another encounter that involves this same type of a being. So this is something to just spur you to look up this for yourself and see if there's a connection. Is there anything with the footprints I'm mentioning there? Just food for thought, if nothing else. I appreciate all of you for subscribing. Please press that like button, share the videos. Thank you to the people on Patreon for keeping this going on, keeping the information coming. We're keeping mind expanding here. That's what this is for. And have some fun with it too. Comment with each other, talk to each other in the comment section. I'm loving it. Take care, much energy, peace.